I'm going to North Korea for these kids, are you sure? They take our phones, our cameras, and our passports. This is like saying, while you're here, you better behave. Gumball 2008, probably the most debauched and sort of extraordinary Gumball experience, where we're flying to northern China and then on to Pyongyang in North Korea. I sat there with Knoxville, all the Jackass crew, Max, Dave Hasselhoff. So we're straight on this plane to North Korea to go to the mass games, their version of the Olympics, but you can sense this massive facade. But there's a darkness, you know? In this scene, in a karaoke bar, I've managed to get Dave, who's really outrageously drunk. 10 minutes later, we walk into the toilet, right? And he's at the urinal. And then I noticed a dark mat spreading over his jeans. And I've noticed, instead of holding his penis, he's actually holding one of his balls.
While he's pissing in his pants.
This is what's done me the most. At the end, he's just...
Mike, welcome to the show, mate.
Dodge, pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, really looking forward.
Finally,
we're here. Thanks for making the effort.
Hey, it's a pleasure, man. Yeah. It's a pleasure. I did promise you. I think it was maybe about a year and a half you first got in touch.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Here now.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man.
Happy days, mate. Happy days. Anyway, all about you. Let's roll all the way back. Where did you grow up and how did you end up being the main person of the Cuban Brothers?
Well, I was born in Edinburgh, and I sort of grew up in Edinburgh until I was 3. So I lived at my grandma and my grandma's household with my granddad and my mum. I was a wee bastard then, still a wee bastard now. Some might say hello. So yeah, I grew up in that household, and then my mum. I was a lovely sort of environment to grow up in, you know. There's a lot of love there. And so I was very close to my grandparents, and my mum met my dad, who is a Kiwi guy who was out doing his, what they call the OS, the overseas. Yeah. So he's a Kiwi guy, he's doing the overseas, he's been there in bloody Italy and Spain, and he made it across to Scotland, to bonny Scotland, and he met my mum, and so they fell in love, and he effectively adopted me, and they got married. And then when I was 3.5, we went back to New Zealand. Well, I stayed there, and I was in New Zealand there until about, I returned in 93 back to the UK because I'd been, by then.
How old were you then?
I was 18.
18, okay.
18. So,
what made you say, right, I've had enough of New Zealand, I'm coming back to the UK?
Because I was DJing, and I've been involved in a few clubs, and we were putting on our own nights, these parties in Palmerston North with my friends, and they were taking off. Yeah. And I just thought, I thought, there's a glass ceiling here. Let's, there's a limited sort of, I'm getting a bit warm. Yeah. Let me remove this. Let's get back to the UK and see if I can make something happen, because
good timing. Yeah, early 90s.
Yeah, exactly. And that was it. And so, and although I was going to miss my mates and everything, I had that kind of thing where just going, I'd been allowed to adventure. My parents were quite liberal. So when I was, I had a record box, I'd hitched the length and breadth of New Zealand at 16, 17. And, in the holidays and stuff like that. And I made lots of pals. And my mum and dad knew that there was no point in saying, this is not the way. Yeah, because I'm like that going, look, just let me get on with it. Yeah. And they did. And I wasn't hitting them up for any money. I was making a wee bit of money DJing. I was doing wee bits and pieces. I had a little crop down in the Pohongana Valley.
Did you?
Yeah. I was quite young to be, and that was quite successful. And so I did that. And then I thought, let's get back to the UK and see what we can do.
Would you go straight back into Edinburgh?
I didn't.
Or London?
I didn't. I went to Bali, and I was only going for a fortnight, and I ended up there 5 months, six months. I was living there, and so I was the original expat DJ at Peanuts, which was the place that sadly got bombed in 2002. Yeah. So I was there 92, a decade before. And I was a surfer, again, not a particularly great surfer, but I was really into it. And so I ended up staying there, and then I was able to extend a visa. Or it wasn't even a visa; it was I forget what it was called. So I was going for a fortnight and ended up there for for 6 months almost, and which was amazing. Yeah. And I in a lot of ways, I was speaking to someone about this. I was just in Bali, Seen a friend.
Great place.
Oh, it's an amazing place.
Great place.
And my pal Josh, he's got Ulu Cliff House down there in Uluwatu. My other great friend Christian, he is running Old Man's down on the far side of
What is that?
Seminyak.
What's Old Man's?
Old Man's is a club.
Day club. More of a day.
They've got
beachy
everything.
vibe?
Yeah. It's a day beachy vibe at night. It's a club. It's a bar.
Brilliant.
It's right on the beach.
Brilliant.
And then Josh's place is a little bit more upmarket in Uluwatu. I mean, that's in Condé Nast. Top 5 bar and restaurants in Asia. So diametrically opposed in style. But yeah, so I was out visiting and I spoke to them about it. I was saying, I think when I first came here, it really changed my life because there's sort of, the Balinese are really nice people.
Friendly.
Yeah. And, Balinese Hinduism, effectively, it's very similar to Buddhism, which I rock with. You can probably see. Yeah. I travel with these because they protect me, and I had a long drive. So I travel with the Buddhas, and I tell you, I believe they do protect me. And so, it was, and through that, the openness and the warmth, of the Balinese, and so I've always had an affinity with the place. So I stayed there. I did a bit of DJing in a couple of places. I mean, back then there was only sort of three clubs in Kuta. Yeah. 3
Kuta,
clubs.
I
I was in Bakunsari cottages in Kuta in 92.
When I went there in 95, there was a lot of begging.
Oh, you were there in 95?
Yeah, mate.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of poverty, wasn't there?
There was, yeah. It's less so
now,
now.
is it?
Yeah,
Okay, I haven't been back since.
Have you not?
No, I'd
yeah,
like
less
to.
so. Because it's effectively become the one of the the most sought places for a holiday worldwide.
Well,
and
lots of
number
Aussies.
Worldwide
But now it's opened up,
Yeah, really opened up. So everywhere. I mean, it's the economy is doing so much better.
Would you live out there now?
I would. I was looking at it. I wish I'd bailed. I was looking at it properly 7 years ago, but I'm still looking at it now. I would live out there. The only problem is that because it is so busy.
Yeah.
I don't think work would be too much of a problem.
Would you be bouncing back and forth? Because that's a trek. How long is it from London to Bali?
London to Bali, it's your 11 hours to Singapore.
Yeah.
And then it's 3.5, 4 from Singapore. 3.5.
So all in, like
3.
stop. You're looking at a 20-hour journey a day. It's a day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think you could live in Bali and still do what you're doing?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Because you just come back here for the summer months.
Yeah.
Okay.
I come back and condense everything into 2.5 months and just make it, but I just, I'm not sure if that's the way just yet because I'm a film actor and a comedy actor. And so I don't, every year I do a couple of projects, whether it's my own or for somebody else. And so I'm lucky with that. And so it's kind of, it might be a bit daft, certainly to build a brand for 25 years with the Cubans. It might be churlish to go, okay.
See you later.
That's me. I'm down here in tropical
I'm
island.
off skis.
Get fucked. Yeah.
And you got 3 kids.
I've got 3 kids. Yeah.
How old are they?
And my eldest Bonita is she's just turned 16, and my middle girl Lucia is 13, and Carmi is 8.
Wow.
Yeah. So
would you uplift the girls to take them to Bali?
I would because Bonnie's at a similar age as when I took off, or my family, and I think it's good for you. And I think that they're part, Carmi was saying, my youngest, I don't want to, but even she's come round to the idea that they have my, not so much a wanderlust, but they have my sense of adventure.
Freedom and adventure. Wicked.
Absolutely. So we'll see.
I bet they're all proper characters, are they?
They are. But the Lulu is more like her mum. She's more mellow, very easygoing.
Yeah.
And Bonnie's very much like me. So we clash a little bit. And Carmi is just off the scale, like next level. Yeah. She's a lunatic.
So tell me, early 90s, clubbing scene, England, rave scene, what was that like for you?
It was good. I mean, I came back after Bali. I came back and I lived with my grandparents again, initially.
Back up in Scotland.
Yeah, back in Scotland. And I was involved in a couple of clubs there and a couple of things. But it wasn't great. And so I had an opportunity to take off to Palma. In Mallorca, and so I did that. And we went off to Palma. I literally had been back in Edinburgh maybe 2 months, and I was like, nah. It was kind of, there was a wee bit of people like sort of well, here he is, back for New Zealand, that kind of thing. There was a tiny bit of, not so much jealousy, but a tiny little bit of, who does this boy think he is?
Yeah, okay.
And I'm like that. Well, I've had all these experiences, and so why not? I'll just bounce. And so I went out with a couple of pals.
Palma, Mallorca, what beautiful place again.
Lovely part.
Love it.
I love it. Yeah,
same.
really nice. And we were. So I was in Palma, and I was DJing out there, and we were living first in Palma, and then we were in Palmanova, which is next to, of course, the eponymous Magaluf, which was just outrageous. And I had a wee thing. We had a wee thing in BCM, a place called Alex's Bar.
BCM, that's a big club.
Big club, yeah.
What's that, 7,000 cap?
Yeah,
Something
7 or 8.
ridiculous?
Yep, that's right. And so we had a wee thing in there as a warm up, and we played Alex's, which is a very busy gaff. And I know that. I know you've had Brandon on here, Brandon Blocko. Yeah. Blocko. I'll be the judge of that. Straight in. Mikey, what's going on? Yeah. Yeah, I've always loved you. Never liked you. Just kidding, I love you. I'll be the judge of that. So he used to turn up. I'm not joking. He used to turn up with 10, 12 inches or maybe a couple of comps. Yeah, and a wig, a judge's wig on, and just with an involuntary eye twitch, and just like that. Yes, come on, then who's having a fucking? And just unintelligible. But what a lovely guy, and So he used to come and do this place called the Red Lion as well, and that's where I first met Blocko. Yeah. So there was me. Guys like him and Alex, we very much looked up to.
Alex P.
Yeah.
He's coming on.
Is he?
Yeah,
I love another lovely man.
Yeah.
A lovely man. And so right across from the Red Lion, this is my main job, was a place called Arnie's Bar, talk of the town. Now, Arnie's Bar was it's quite an extraordinary place. I was a DJ stroke barman stroke PR, getting punters.
Promoter, yeah.
And it was run by a guy called Stevie Levy. And Stevie Levy was Cantonese Jewish Californian. You wouldn't.
That's a combo.
You couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it up. And he had the bald pate. He would have been in his late 30s then, and he had the full mull at the back. Yeah, Chinese gentleman, an Oriental gentleman, but he looked like the boy from Big Trouble in Little China, but without the tash. Yeah. He actually looked like that guy, and he spoke with this, crazy Californian drawl, and he's like, "Yo, come on, we're going to work together. I'm going to bring you in." So I met him. We really got on. His dad had up the road and a little bit round the corner, he had the original Arnie's Bar. His dad was a guy called Arnold Levy, a Californian Jewish cat who'd been involved in the film industry and had to leave town for some reason in the early 70s. So the incredible thing was, this is obviously his mum of Cantonese descent, and this is his dad. And the original Arnie's Bar had been the sort of club and bar for all the aristocracy in the 70s and 80s. So all the aristocratic cats who are going, that's Mallorca. Yes, Mallorca. Yes, 2 months. No. End of September, coming back. Okay. So, of course, Mallorca, yes. Because Palmanova, of course, you could have your yachts there and all this. So his dad's place in the 70s was the place, right? And had a spiral. He showed me the building, and it was derelict now because he had this new place, but it was a spiral staircase down, the quintessential sort of 70s hangout. Yeah. So what he had was, he had the sons and daughters, and in some cases, the grandchildren of this scene still came and paid homage to the new Talk of the Town bar. So we had all sorts, of the aristocratic, and one of them would have been Michael Douglas's son. He was schooled out there. Yeah. He was in with all his friends from the international school, and so there was a lot of money flying around, and young cats and different generations. So it did really well, and that was a great place to work, because I was probably one of the only young guys at 19 who was actually on the books. And so that was very helpful when I got a tug. Which was always in the post. And not a friendly tug either. Dodge. That's you know what I mean. One of those friendly tugs. I had a few of them as well. That's just inappropriate for this type of podcast, darling. Yeah, man. So I was on the books, and so it was great. And so I've kind of learned my trade DJing there, and being a bit multifaceted. Because if it wasn't busy, I was outside and,
dragging
let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. And then and it was great. And he paid me properly. And we got on, and I think that was the difference. I wasn't just another young cat,
another number coming through.
Who's getting whatever it was, you know, something daft like $3 million a night or something equivalent to 12 quid. Yeah. You know, he paid me nicely, and I in turn did the business for him. Brilliant. And so that was great. And so you know, it was good. I had 2 years out there, 2 seasons. Yeah. And then I came back to the UK. And I mean, it's quite extraordinary. My granddad, I moved back.
What year were you in Mallorca?
I was there, it would have been 93.
93.
And 94.
Did you ever get in trouble with the police at all in Mallorca?
I had one situation where it was definitely a case of mistaken identity dodge. You know?
Of course.
But there was a lot of young chaps out there with shaved heads and sort of, you know, big tribal beads and a strange glassy look in their eye, an involuntary eye twitch and a general twitch in general. Yeah, no, I had one situation. It was a mistaken identity sort of carry on. As was a gentleman, a young chap who was a vagrant. We used to help him out. He was a guy who didn't really live anywhere, and he was involved in nefarious activities. But he's a lovely guy. Yeah. And so we had an apartment, Jason. Yeah, okay. And so we had an apartment, and so he invariably would get involved with some young ladies, and he'd probably spend the night there. And when he didn't, you know, he would come and keep on our couch. Yeah. And so, there was one night we got a bang on the door. And I went and opened the door. I'd been relaxing. I was just going to be kind of careful. Yeah, no, it's 30 years ago. So I'd been relaxing. I went and opened the door, and bang, some cats have came straight in, and I just went whoa. And
the Guardia Civil?
It was plainclothes Guardia.
Okay.
And so they'd been following him. Yeah. And they believed him to be involved in the drug trade or whatever. Who can say? And so they came through, and obviously these middle-aged men, not in uniform, coming for me straight through the door. I went straight back, and so I went straight back, and then cut to 4 hours later. You know, I wake up in a cell in Palmanova, and I'd been pistol whipped. You know, and so I looked a bit like John Merrick. It was, So that was an interesting, and it was the only bother I ever had. And so I had a wee bit, I had a wee spell in it. My papers seemed to go missing, but and a few of my fingers. This one probably hasn't. This one hasn't quite survived it. It was an interesting situation, but Stevie Levy, God bless his heart, and if he ever gets to hear this, I'm pretty.
Is he still alive?
I believe he will be. Yeah. As I say, he was probably.
And that's his surname, proper surname, Stevie Levy. It wasn't
Levy,
like
Stevie Levy. Yeah, that was his name.
So if he's out there, get in contact.
Get in contact, because he was an extraordinary man, and he really gave. He was kind to me, and we had a good. And he was the guy who came in. My papers went missing. You know, I was in bother, and I spent a wee bit of time there, and I got to meet a certain Mr. Howard Marks, who was in the general populace in there, Mr. Nice, and that friendship lasted right up until he passed 5 years ago. God rest his soul. Yeah. From cancer, we became he was like an uncle to me. Yeah. But that was where we first met, and then obviously we became very fast friends for the rest of his life. A great man, and a very funny, beautiful raconteur, very kind guy as well. So in that situation, Stevie came and got me, and he did the whole, because he knew all these guys. Yeah. He'd grown up with them in the 70s. He was the similar age to all these Guardia, and he's like, venga, Miguelito, trabajo para mí. Rubbish Spanish, but no surprise there. But yeah, he was able to get it done, and I think I got, what was it, maybe 300,000 pesetas. Or something like that.
What's the equivalent today?
Equivalent about 500 euros, maybe.
What, fine?
No. I was one of the first cats ever to get money for a mistaken identity thing.
Oh, really? They gave you 500 for mistake.
Oh, he kicked off, and he was like that. Okay. Here's his papers. He's on the books with me.
Yeah.
You know, the guys like
he's legit.
What you're sending like guys in and you fucking pistol whipped them and this happened, you know. And so he's like that. He really kicked off and fought my corner.
Because Guardia Civil do not give a shit.
They don't. And then in that environment, you know, there was quite a lot of you know, I can say there's quite a lot of wrongness going on in that environment with people serving up and with various. Now, of course, I wasn't into that because I was, you know, I was trying to do music and I was trying to do a thing. But of course, I had friends who were into that, and I had, you know, I've always been attracted to people who are a bit extra, whether that be in, you know, in a sort of villainy capacity or anything. That's, you know, come on, I'm on the firm.
Yeah,
you're on the firm. Come on, straight in. Here he is. Get this little prick in here, Mikey. Come on. Fun and action.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. And so I was probably one of the first people to have a payout for this kind of thing because he made sure of it. So at the time, you know, there wasn't a lot of money, but it was decent amount of money for me.
Yeah, of course.
And so I walked out, you know, with freedom. Yeah. Get fucked. Gilipollas. You fucking dickheads. Broken fingers.
Yeah, black eyes.
Watch this. Freedom. Yeah. I felt like Nelson Mandela, man. Yeah. And so that happened. And so, that was a vibe. And I met Howard then. And
for the listener,
yes,
explain how you would describe Howard Marks.
Well, I would describe him simply as one of the nicest. You know, the reason he gets the name Mr. Nice is he's a very he's a gentle man, an intelligent man. He studied at Oxford in the mid '60s, and you know, through his love of hashish and smoking during the time, and sort of he became a dealer in a small capacity at first. It got bigger and bigger until he became, you know, one of effectively the number one hash dealer and mover in Europe, through going out to Pakistan and Afghanistan. And, you know, he moved tons and tons of stuff, you know, notoriously in the speakers of the Rolling Stones, touring outfits. At one point, he had 42 different passports, 42 different identities. Really charming guy, handsome guy. Of course, he's working in these things. So all the villains that he came across, you know, they all loved him because he wasn't, you know, he was never a man of violence. He was never a man like that. And he was very erudite, super erudite. You could draw him on any, subject. And he was, you know, and of course he loved to smoke, as I do. Not so much now. I'm trying to
wean.
Well, I'm just trying to make myself a little bit more, get things done a bit quicker, isn't it?
Yeah, mate.
Hashtag allow it. Hashtag disallow it. It's your dad. I'm getting it done eventually. So that's what's happening. You know what I mean? So and that's Howard, what a fascinating.
And he's Welsh.
He's Welsh. Yes, yeah.
Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah. Well,
because you just think it's some big sort of, I don't know, American or London or whatever, but he's a
Welsh
human being.
Exactly, and very funny. You know, we shared so many fun nights together, and of course, because he ended up, he got taken from Palmanova, where because they've been trying to get him. He was like one of the number one guys that they've been trying to find for a long time, and then he went back, I think, to upstate New York. What's it called? It'll come to me in a minute. And I think he was some years in Sing Sing, and then he was some years
Sing Sing.
Yeah, Sing Sing was a prison.
Yeah, where?
Sing Sing. I think it's. It'll come to me.
Okay.
And Terry Hott. Terry Hott was the one. He was nine years in there, and so after 9 years, I mean that's long enough, isn't it? Yeah. And so when he
did he do the whole 9?
He did, yeah. Because it was longer. I think he got the half because he taught a lot of people there. He taught a lot of people from the hood, and a lot of cats who hadn't had a proper education. Yeah. This is one of the things that he taught them English, and he taught them. He basically gave a lot of people life skills that they wouldn't have had, and I think that was the reason why. I think because his sentence was something crazy. Yeah. I think his sentence was something like 30.
Was it?
Yeah, it was something. But because he is Mr. Nice, he was able to, help a lot of people, and give them life skills taught English, taught how to, some of these people didn't know how to write, some of these cats who'd been brought up and had never really had an opportunity. And so that was a testament to his type of character, So he was in Terre Haute. He was in Sing Sing for some time, but he was in Terre Haute prison for 8 years.
And where's that? Where's Terre Haute?
I'm not sure. Terre Haute, and I think it's...
Josh, can you have a little look for us?
Sorry, Josh.
We'll carry on, but I'm intrigued to find out.
Terrehaute, Terre Haute. And so that was, and then he came back. So basically what Howard's saying, in his later years, or from, later middle age until his passing.
Do you know how old he was when he did pass?
Yeah, he was 72.
72, okay. So he had a good innings.
He had a good innings, yeah. But
how did he pass in the end?
He had cancer.
Okay.
Yeah, he had cancer. Yeah. He had cancer that travelled. It was in...
everywhere. Okay.
Yeah, it was a real shame, and more than a real shame. But but he said to me, he actually said to me, at Bestival, because we shared a house at Bestival, we shared, our time at Bestival, fairly emboldened by an extraordinary cocktail and array of good things. Yeah. And so, and he always said, Mike, I don't care. I want to have a good time. I spend a lot of time away, and this is not it's not a great Howard Marks impression, but I want to, I just want to ride until the wheels fall off, I want to ride as fast as I can until the wheels fall off. He says, I want my body to be fucked, Mike, I want to be fucked with life, Mike, with life, I want to ride till the wheels fall off. And I remember him saying that to me. And it probably...
What a great one-liner, though.
Yeah. And I was
living life to the max,
exactly.
Right?
And I think I was probably, fairly melted in the time, but that's why it stayed with me so much, But then there was a point in my life where, what would Howard do? But then I've got to remember that Howard had spent a lot of time inside, and so he's making up for lost time. Yeah. So that wasn't the best for me in my mid-20s to go, what would Howard do? Because he's making up for lost time. Yeah. I haven't,
He must have inspired you, though, to go and live life to the max and do everything what makes you happy every day.
100%. Yeah. 100%. That's absolutely.
Because there's not many people in the world, Mike, who are doing something they're happy with every single day. It's a very small amount of people.
That's right, man. Yeah. That's right. And I feel very lucky. That's pertinent. Blessed. It's very pertinent you say that, because I feel lucky that, I've made an opportunity. So, but I've also had an opportunity that to go and do something that I love. I wouldn't still be the Cuban Brothers, for instance.
So Cuban Brothers started 98?
Cuban Brothers started in 98. Yeah.
And whose idea was it? And why did you choose Cuban Brothers, the name?
What? Excuse me. What happened was I came back to the UK. And I had been involved in setting up a club with Warren Deegan called The Honeycomb. And that was like an underground kind of club on Blair Street, house music. I had all sorts of house music, techno nights, hip hop nights. Yeah. And, but it was really sort of one of the... Certainly in the mid-90s, one of the best underground environments, which also was a bit more than just a shell. Yeah. It was quite an amazing sound system. You had guys like Ross Kerry, who was an extraordinary DJ who was there as the, what do they call it? Assuming that we sip. Yeah, Ross was the resident. Ross Kerry was the resident, and we had all sorts of things in there. So I've been involved in that, and I was DJing and playing percussion. And helping run the bar, and just and I've been involved in Edinburgh club culture in some fashion or form, in and out since I returned to the country at 18. And then I was back and forth from there to Mallorca, and so the Cubans was something that it came from a character. I built this character, so there's a little bit in between here. My grandfather had a Yorkshireman. And he came up during the war and met my grandmother. And he was from Bradford, he spoke like this. Eric Gilmartin, great man, of course. Gilmartin, Irish stock, so originally they came over during the potato famine, straight in. It came across to Bradford. And originally, from west of Ireland. And so he came up and he said, do you know what? It's amazing. You're doing all these voices, doing all these characters. you want to get yourself down there and get involved in more of the acting game, you know. He says, yeah, let me, I'm going to write to Grundy TV. I'm going to write to Coronation Street, right? And he actually wrote a letter to Coronation Street. I can't help but notice in Coronation Street, you haven't had any Scottish characters in there for such a long time. My grandson, Michael, is an extraordinary young actor. He wrote this away and actually got a reply. So I didn't get, but what a man.
Yeah, brilliant.
What a man. And he did something similar to go and work at Ponton's Blackpool. Now this was something that I wasn't in for at all. I was working in an underground environment, but he wrote away for me because I'm ADHD. I didn't know it at the time. It's something I recognise now. It's not a big deal. It's in some ways a superpower, whatever. But I can't fill a form in.
Same.
I'm just like that.
I go,
my eyes glaze over and just fucking fall off the thing.
Same.
Yeah, I'd rather fucking set my cock on fire like that. Ah! Do you know what I mean? Than fill in a form. I'm just like, you know, anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not proud of that either. But so he filled the forms in. Anyway, I get a thing to come down and I'm like, I don't want to go and work in this environment. This is like, anyway, you're going. Yeah. Just go and do it. You know, you should get involved in performing. It's what more. And I did, and I got the job, and I went down, and more to appease him, right? Because I thought this is not really what I'm up for. I was earning reasonably good money as a DJ, but I went to do it more to appease him. And again, my curiosity got the best of me, and I'm glad it did. You know, instead of being blinkered. Yep. So I went and did it, and you know what? It was fun, and I did it for a season, and I was good at it. Yeah. And
did you before you went there, you were going, right, get on stage. Did you realise you're going, I'm actually making people laugh here? Did that give you a good buzz?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. But before I was doing that, I was kind of, fun in clubs. Yeah. I was fun in boozers. Yeah. Always taking the piss. Yeah. I was always doing, different characters, and I'd already had a character called Black Tights Man. Yeah. So when I was 19, and it was head to toe in black tights. So it's like a sexual uber hero. Yeah. So I had, a big pair of 60 denier black tights. So that would be pulled up over my navel. I put my head through the gusset of another pair and my arm and the legs, right? So 60 denier, and then I'd have a pair of tights on my head, like a ninja, right? But tied round like that, tied there. And then these fucking, these massive gloves, rubber gloves that they use for, for anything that was maybe poison or anything like that. And I'd fucking climb up poles and basically pump the pole. It was fucking weird. It was weird. And I'd be up I'd be up a balustrade in a club or a bar and just like that, fucking hello. And then, regardless of gender, I'd fucking be across lifting people up over my shoulder. So it's like a sexual... Yeah. A sexual uber hero, but not like, not serious.
Fun, fun. Just take fun.
And I have my mate, one of my mates, Stu, over my back, and I put him on the bar, and I'm fucking pumping him, like, and he just got the fucking, my eyes bulging. What the fuck is this? And then it would be like fucking, I'd be doing shit karate. So that's ridiculous. And this is the kind of shit I used to do, and so I was able to do that in this environment in Blackpool. In the original bastion of the working class holiday. And it was, I sung down there, and this is basically where this character Miguel was born. Ridiculous, I know. Mate, someone, when you get this, someone will send in they'll send in the pictures. Photo, someone sent me some pictures of me up, honestly, 25 foot up a pole with the big orange gloves on, fucking the pole like that, just looking intensely down at people. Ridiculous. Someone said, and I'm like, I can't believe they exist. But in that environment, there'd be women who were fairly mature ladies. And
finding it funny.
Well, I'd run and fucking grab them, and they'd be over the shoulder and on the stage, and I'd be dipping them in the thing. And as you know, this is no way you get away with it now. No fucking danger. No. But they were fucking loving it. Yeah. Ah! Get off you dirty bastard! I can't, Margaret. Will you get this bastard off me here? Oh! But and then that's it. The vodka would come out the handbag, and they're giving me drinks all night. Come here, Michael, you dirty bastard. Come here. Why? Oh, you're an awful bastard, you are. That was fun. What time are you off tonight, love? Hashtag allow it. Hashtag it's your dad.
It's your dad.
So that was the vibe. So I went down. So I was the first guy, really, I believe, to go down and do alternative comedy in that environment.
Yeah.
Because we used to, obviously I was doing the bookings, and we used to have, at that point, we was bringing Ken Dodd in to do stuff. He was doing the South Pier. I ended up working with him as his butler. Yeah, believe it or not, because he had to get rid of the Diddy men.
Yeah. Is he still alive?
No, we lost it. Ken Dodd about 12 years ago.
Okay.
Beautiful man.
Yeah.
Never, ever bought me a drink.
Did he not?
Oh, straight in. All right there, mate. Great guy. But he had to get rid of Diddy men, and because it was un-PC. This was you couldn't. You can't have dwarfs as your sort of side crew. It's like, what? Fucking hell, are you sure?
Yeah.
The Diddy men, I mean, well, this is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
These guys get to work all year round.
Get paid.
Usually, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so he needed a character called the Butler. And so I became his butler, basically his compere. And I did that with him on South Pier. I mean, he's a legend, and
absolutely.
I learned a lot. And he used to do 4 hours, the show would go up at about 8:15. He'd still be on stage at midnight. People got their money's worth, and people used to fucking die.
Yeah.
There was women taken out, like actually having to be hospitalized from pissing themselves so much, like literally once a gig, there would be medics there to help someone who fucking lost their mind. So I worked with him and guys like Mick Miller and Frank Carson and all that. But what I wasn't doing, I was not doing obviously any material like that. I was doing characters.
Okay.
And one of those characters was Miguel. And this is the first time, this might be the first time I spoke about it in this capacity, and certainly in a podcast. I used to do this character called Miguel Mantovani. And because I've been living in Spain, and I met a guy out there. I was living in a hotel, and there was a guy who was a hotel animator, and I think this was the sort of proto Miguel, or at least the catalyst for what became the character. And he was a guy. He was called a hotel animator, and he was a really small guy, diminutive guy with a big cockduster tash, big. So he was there, and he was just a really. A beautiful guy, and so beautifully substandard. I fell in love with him. So I'd come down with my record box, and I'd have a couple of San Miguel before I go out to DJ. Yeah. And so this was my time where, for 40 minutes, I would sit and watch him, and he'd be doing the disco for the kids or the Skittles or whatever, and it was just fabulous. He was so warm, but so shithouse, it was just that. Okay, kids, but we're going to do Skittles for Skittles, okay? My favorite is your favorite. Okay, where is it, key? Robert, come on, please, Susan, let's go. Okay, the Skittle. First, before you do Skittle, we want to do the dancing. Who the dancing? Okay, let's go. My favorite and your favorite is Saturday Night. And it used to run from this console, literally, it used to run round the console. He'd press it, ding, 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 and he'd be like, ding, 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 and he'd run round it, taking about 20 seconds to get to the front, and the kids are all like that, hey, pretty babies, let's go, right, and then in between, it would take them 20 seconds to get back behind, so there'd be a big pause in between tracks. But nobody cared, and the kids loved them, and he'd be doing, he'd have them in the pool, doing all sorts. I mean, the guy was so substandard, but he was such a beautifully warm guy, And so I fell in love with this guy, and so we'd be again. So I was always going out as he was. But I loved him, and so I think that was the impetus for Miguel.
Brilliant.
Was a guy who, but I changed it obviously to a guy who'd worked. Who'd worked in the adult entertainment industry, and he's past his peak, and he cleaned his act up and got a daytime TV show in Cuba. But he'd also, during that time, he'd been a favorite of the Cali cartel and stuff like this in Colombia. So that those guys had said, who are we going to have at the party? Let's get that dickhead Miguel across. Very, very funny, very nice guy. He's okay, cantar. He's not Berlin. And so this is that was the character, right? The character is somebody. I gave him a pass that he'd been involved in. Adult entertainment, porno shows, and he had a daytime TV show in Cuba because there was only 2 channels in Cuba, Cuba Vision and Cuba TV. That was the only channels that existed probably up until about a decade ago, and so that was the character that I created, and he'd been coaxed out of retirement from doing the Hello Friends, yeah, from doing the porno shows of Truth and Justice. But it ended up that the starlet of this film that he'd done had ended up being the Minister of Agriculture's daughter. So he's fucked. He's got two choices, prison or exile. So he chose exile and came to Europe. And so the whole idea behind the Cuban Brothers really was Miguel trying to get a second bite of the cherry in Europe and to make his star shine again, because he couldn't go back to Cuba. So the whole idea was that me coming to and working in the northern clubs, it's a complete fish out of water.
Yeah.
How is this guy, this guy who had been a Latin entertainer, a little bit kind of sexist rather than sexy, but that's the whole point. This is the whole thing. Yesterday's man, but trying to fit in to this culture. And so it's this guy trying to do mother-in-law gags and sort of a little bit off-color jokes. Still warm, it was never meant to be offensive, but that was the whole point. Is it's supposed to be off-color. It's a guy trying to fit in. Okay, you are a beautiful lady. Look at this. Beautiful blonde hair. That would look good on me, just draped across my lap. Isn't it? Okay. This kind of thing. Oh, yes. Beautiful. These kind of, really substandard stuff. But that was the whole point. So that was how the character was born. And that was the whole history. I gave him a whole history. And because I was, I got a wee sip, excuse me. It was all these, That was the impetus, was this wee guy. And then I came and I started doing this character. I came out of that environment. I got a job. I got cast as Frankenfurter. People saw, I was able to do something down there which was unusual. I doing these different characters. And through that, I got given a show where I could do some stuff on South Pier myself, which was unusual. And no one was doing what I was doing, which was not particularly clever, but it was different, weird, kind of characters, which were so far removed from the traditional stuff, And I used to drink with all those guys in the Dutchman. I met all those legends and Cannonball, Frank. It's the way I tell him, Carson. Hold on, that's the way I tell him. I can't really do a great Frank Carson impression. And he was a man who was so a funny guy, but he would only ever, be interested in himself. If he wasn't telling a story, he wasn't happy. All these great characteristics and idiosyncrasies of these comic of the 70s and 80s, I got to spend time with them, and I gleaned a lot from them. But of course, I was never going to, that was why some of the material, it was about subverting their material and using it, I don't want to put too far, but using it in a slightly more modernist way, And so that was the vibe. And so I came up, I also, through that, I got cast as Frankenfurter in the Rocky Horror. And I did that. I played Frank in the Rocky Horror at Blackpool Winter Gardens, which is also something I would never have ever expected. At 21, I'm in, 9-inch stack heels, fishnets, and a basque, and my hair's dead curly, I was like, so out here just blown back. So I was a sweet transvestite for about 6 months as well, and that was where, because I've been doing hip hop and singing, singing sort of house vocal soul music effectively, and here I was doing a musical, which is something I never expected. But the money was good, and B, I was getting to be on the stage and be the center of attention,
building your confidence of what, amazing.
Totally. And so again, it was unusual, and I kind of think about it now, and I'm just thinking, I would never have expected that. I got asked randomly, you should come and read for this, you should come and audition, and I got the part. And I didn't have any form in musical theatre before that at all. No form, and so it was great. And so,
but being curious creates opportunities.
100%.
Yeah, and being curious is a superpower. Anyone out there, if curiosity is a superpower that no one ever talks about.
You've hit the nail on the head. Honestly,
agree.
You've hit the nail on the head. That's absolutely the truth.
Yeah.
And I consider myself, a hip hop guy, that'd been my culture. I'd been a b-boy. To go right back to where I was talking before, in that ballroom, I started breakdancing at 7 in 1983, in that ballroom that we had in the Tranmere Hotel. And my crew was my little brother Gareth, and a miniature wire-hair dash hound called Tootsie, who we used to spin round and skate across the floor at 100 miles an hour while we were doing windmills, proto head spins, or trying to anyway. So that was been, but hip hop, and that hip hop had been my culture, and here I was in a Basque, sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. I was like, what the fuck? Amazing. And so I did that. Then I came back up the road. I was back at the Honeycomb, and there was a night, a little night on a Tuesday night. There's a place called the Jazz Cellar Bar No. 1 on Chamber Street. And Chamber Street is where the Edinburgh, the museum is, right? Yeah. And Chamber Street, the Jazz Cellar Bar was in the cellar, probably about, about 120 cap, a wee stage in the corner, red light, low lit. It kind of had that vibe, that really sort of bohemian vibe of one of those, late 50s, early 60s jazz bars. It was brilliant. And I was doing a wee shift in there and DJing. And then I said, I want to try and do Miguel in here, because I'd done it in more of a cabaret thing. And now I thought, why don't I do a thing on a Tuesday night and just see what happens? And so I had a guy, Tim King, with me, who came in as my DJ, and we would DJ together. A shout out to Tim King. I think he's living in Perth, Australia. Wicked guy, very funny guy. And he, and I used to bring my percussion. So I have congas, bongos, and we'd set up in the corner, and we would have, so it was 2 turntables, a microphone, and some percussion. And, I was effectively wearing a syrup, very dodgy syrup, and fake sideburns, and a handlebar. That's Miguelito. And I'd already done the character, and the character already had some development, you know. And on a Tuesday night, we went to town in there, and it was just meteoric in the space of a month. Excuse me, sorry, pal. It was meteoric. In the space of a month, it went from taking, maybe 150, 160 quid on a Tuesday night, to taking maybe 3.5K. Yeah. And it was students, and it was local clubbing people who knew me. People would say, "Oh, Mike's doing this thing. He's doing Miguel, the Cuban Brothers. You've got to come down." And I would tell stories. So I do numbers. I would MC and spit. So I'd already, during some of the tracks in the breaks, I would just do freestyles in the breaks of the records, and then I already sampled some stuff and was doing my own music. So I'd actually do freestyle. I was singing, I was MCing, and then in between the joints, and I was playing percussion at the same time. And Tim was just like that, like he had a big, massive tash, and he has long dark hair. He played this character I created from called Richie Paloco, and very, you just like, just the eponymous big grin on his face, and, always just touching himself inappropriately, that kind of thing. Okay, yes, we're fucking, okay. Yeah, okay. And we both on the cigars. And in between, I would tell stories, and I'd pick people out. And because I knew a lot of people, and, they love the fact that they're getting mentioned, they're getting name checked, and I'd tell a ridiculous story about them, there would be maybe a tiny bit of truth in it, and I would go and tell the story. And so, although, it was never ever mean-spirited, so that was the thing, I never punched down. So it would be a funny story about and why in some way they were a dickhead, but as Miguelito, and of course, so I do that with everyone, and then I just started to improvise so much that I didn't need to know anyone. I could speak to them and find out their name.
Brilliant.
And it's the classic thing. But that any comic would do, how you doing? Where'd you come from? Yeah. Oh, da-da-da. And I did that. And it was, again, it was just, that was kind of how it started. And then more and more, I would have to remember to stop improvising and engaging too much, because, people wanted to dance as well. Yeah. But that became a thing. And then I got Archie involved. Archie, I met him in a club, at the same club there was a night called Scene, and there was a b-boy circle one night.
And Archie, for the listeners, Archie's your right-hand man.
Archerio, he's retired now.
Is he retired, is he?
He's been retired for 3 years. Yeah. Yep.
So who's taking his place then? Kengo?
Well, Kenny the Bastard is my DJ, and he's been with us for 20 years. Certainly as a mainstay for 20 years.
Yeah.
Dominic has been with us for 12 years. Young Dominic, the young extraordinary dancer. So Archie retired about 3 years ago. So it's three of us just now in the core Los Hermanos.
Yeah.
And but I met him and we were DJing. It was a battle, a b-boy battle.
Yeah.
And I was aware of Archie because he'd been a dancer with the Prodigy and stuff like that. On their tour, the Fat the Land tour and stuff, and one of the members of the Floor Freaks, who were quite an extraordinary crew. And I watched him battle these three guys and just wipe the floor with them. And so, but because I was, I have that energy and that kind of thing, like, fuck, come on. I went in the circle and did my thing. And so never as good a dancer as him, but I had the energy and whatever you want to call it, the nuts or the chutzpah, whatever you want to call it, to go and battle him and hold my own in energy and style alone, not in acrobatics. He was like the next level. And so after that, we got, everyone was like, wow, what the fuck, what a battle. And I was like, you're going to come and, I do this little thing in the cellar bar. I said, you want to come and do it? I said, I'd like you to play this wee character. I said, it wasn't the most imaginative, but I said, his name is Archie. I'm like that, Archerio. And so I gave him a beautiful old Mexican Gaibera wedding shirt. And I drew a mustache. He had quite a heavy growth in it. I drew a little pencil-thin mustache and gave him a pair of, parts of my costume bits. Look, I've always had a huge wardrobe. I've always been into the way I build characters is through the costume first. It would be a syrup first, always a wig, and then from there maybe a bit of facial hair, and then what does he wear? That's how I always went. I didn't think of the character; it was always the look first. And so and he came and did that, and then from that was maybe about 2 months. 2 months after we started.
So we're talking late 90s here.
We're talking 98.
98. Okay.
Yeah. And then within 3 months, we had a show at the Edinburgh Festival. Karen Corrin had got in touch. I heard about this. I've heard how funny it is. Do you guys want to come and do the studio at the Gilded Balloon, which was where all the comics went. It was where all the acts came to, all the people who are involved in the Fringe. It was the late night place. And so that would be from midnight, 11:30 midnight until 3 a.m. And I was like that, well, let's, what are you going to pay me? Because she was notorious. I think she's still around. Karen, if you're listening, I doubt she will be. How you doing? A great businesswoman. But I was aware of that, and I had a little bit. I was aware that there was something happening here. Effectively,
did you know? Was there something bubbling going? You know
what?
I'm making people laugh.
Yes,
and we're making this is so different.
Yeah, because it went from like within the space of 3 weeks, it went from being quite sleepy. 30 or 40 bodies in there to full capacity.
Yeah.
Like 30 or 40 bodies, where you couldn't get in. Yeah. And so news spread fast in a kind of small town, in the city. A lot of people were clubbers, a lot of people I knew who were working in the club environment, and a lot of people were students, and a lot of people were jazz and sort of black music aficionados who were going there anyway, because there'd been some great acts and bands in there respectively. And then, so that came, and then within 3 months, I got a residency, offered a residency at the Matzo in Amsterdam, and one to go out and do Manumission in Ibiza with Mike and Claire.
Mike and Claire.
And Manumission.
Just explain to the listeners who don't know Manumission.
Manumission was like probably one of maybe the most famous sort of 90s night on the island.
Yeah. They had that for 20 odd years, didn't they?
Yeah,
something crazy, more maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it started in. Claire might tell me off. I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure it was from 95, 94, certainly up until 2000 2008 or whatever, something like this. When I was living on the island, I was living back on the island when my first daughter was born, and they had stopped Manumission then. So Bonita, is 16.
16.
So let's
minus
go back.
16.
Minus
2005,
16.
6, 4, something roughly around
So
there.
a good 12 years
So,
anyway,
okay.
And it was amazing. I mean, a huge Amnesia, a huge club. Huge club, and they put performance into.
That's right.
A performance with a whole dance troupe. They had Cubano, Cuban acrobats. They had minor sex shows.
Yeah.
They would actually do a minor sex show.
How mad is that? The promoters, the owners of it, are having sex on stage. How bonkers is that when you think of it? Yeah. That wouldn't happen these days.
There's no danger.
There's no way.
It was incredible. And they were really cool. And obviously Dawn and Andy were the other partners. Andy went on to do Ibiza Rocks.
Yeah.
And
did he?
Yeah. I have no idea but he came apart as a unity.
Yeah.
And I think Dawn has been, certainly up until now, has been looking after Pikes, and Pikes has been her business.
I love Pikes.
So do I.
Yeah.
And Tony Pike was a wonderful guy. I had a lot of good nights with him. Me, Howard, and Tony were a threesome, not in the pumping sense. Can you imagine?
I'm just picturing now. You, Howard Marks, and Tony Pike.
Can you imagine? As a three-way reach around. All right, Mike, I want to ride life until the wheels fall off, isn't it? And just Tony like that with his sort of Aussie landing kind of thing, mate. Yeah, can you stop that, Mike? That's bloody hurting me a little bit there, mate. Grace Jones used to tickle that, mate. Not whatever you fucking do, mate. Good on you, good on us, good on everyone. Yeah, Tony was another legend.
What a character.
God rest his soul.
Yeah. He went, 2-3 years ago?
Yes, 3 years ago, yeah.
Just for the listener out there,
yes,
a watcher on YouTube, how would you explain Tony Pike?
Tony was an entrepreneur, much like yourself, who had been a really handsome guy. He'd been involved in sort of film in Australia, and he'd come across to Europe, and he'd been involved in some films, and he was just a bit of a nightlife guy. Handsome, charismatic, sort of go-getter.
Loved a party.
Loved a party, and he loved a lady.
Yep.
He loved a lady. That's why it's almost ridiculous to imagine a threesome. But I'm pretty sure that he may, I don't want to cast any dispersions, but I'm pretty sure he may have liked a gentleman.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I've heard.
Yeah, exactly.
Just leave it as rumour.
Tony, wonderful guy, very charismatic man, and and so he'd been involved in, I think, with a lot of sort of films and that in Europe in the 60s and 70s, late 70s as well, and he was, he had a great business mind, and he opened up Pikes Hotel. And that would have been the late 70s, mid 70s maybe, 76, 77. And Pikes became, a really popular place. Anyway, I think most people might have some idea of what we're talking about here, but it became a sort of a hotel for the stars and starlets, and where people could go, and there was no paparazzi at the time. Obviously,
free for all, do what they want,
do what you want, and that was what Ibiza. Ibiza still has that in some environs, but you 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s and 80s, and even the 90s. I know you've had Danny Clockwork and a lot of cats on here. It really was that when I was first in Ibiza.
Same.
It really was extraordinary, and anything went.
Anything went,
and it was all genders, and it was all ages. That's what I loved about it. The fact that I could be there and I'm smoking a joint with a guy in his 70s who just looks extraordinary and smells amazing, and just like, oye Miguelito, and just passing me a yerbas and a joint, and just like that. And then the next thing, I'm on the floor with him, and he's dancing as exuberantly as I am, a bloody 20-year-old. Anyway, that was what Pikes had in spades. And just some of the best parties, and still now, they've kept that on.
Carrying on,
yeah. And so, that was the vibe.
I'm glad it's carried on, because it could have flipped the other way after the pandemic, couldn't it? It was very close to going, this is not working as a model.
Yeah,
but it works a treat now.
It works a treat, and I think
I love the vibe there. You go there, no one's paying to get in. It's a vibe. It's not pretentious. Everyone looks after each other. Everyone's dancing in different rooms. There's a double bed there, and there's a DJ up there, and there's a madness going on around.
I think you're right that there's actually a respect for its history
100%.
And for the culture of it, and so people see it like modern day ravers, or people who are just again curious about that as a venue and as a hotel. They love the fact that effectively them being there, they're sort of part of the place's history, because of the it's got an amazing history, and him and Freddie Mercury being so close, and morning, and him and Grace Jones, they were together as a couple for quite a while.
That must have been wild.
Oh my God,
must have been wild.
Jesus Christ.
Grace Jones.
I've supported Grace Jones.
Have you?
Yeah, about 12,
have you?
14 times. Yeah, and she's always been lovely. I was initially, fairly, what's the word? Rather than scared, I was kind of wary.
Yeah.
Intimidated. Yeah, I can say that, because she's fucking an intimidating character. But you know what? In the flesh, lovely, and recognize me and like that, I really love it. Your show, I really like the show, It's very funny, and you're great there. You got and she was really sort of again, probably not a great Grace Jones impression.
Grace Jones, and while you're there, used to rent my old man's apartment in Battersea.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just because you brought it up, I thought, I forgot about that.
Is that right? What was your old man? Did he have businesses?
My old man was a East London lad.
Yep.
Mum was a Mancunian. Mum was a Playboy bunny in the 70s.
Oh, really?
In the casinos. Dad was a croupier. Then they got into the pub game, and all my uncles and aunties had boozers, and we had boozers. We moved around everywhere in London, living above boozers. Then we got into the nightclub world and festival world. But it's interesting when you look back, Mike, like my granddad had an off licence outside Upton Park.
Yeah.
So everything you look back on, my great granddad had boozers in East London. Everyone, alcohol, boozers, casinos. Then I took the nightclub world on for 10 years, and now I'm in the festival world. It's like everything's about bringing people together and making everyone have a wicked time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's been the family since like the 40s and 50s,
That's it. I mean, and if you come from that, that's it. If you come from that environment, then it's part of you. It's part of you.
It's in the blood, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's true. And so, yeah, absolutely. If not everybody's supposed to be working in, in hospitality. Yeah. That's something that's wound me up a wee bit. I won't go into it too much, but when you're in a restaurant or you're in a club or a bar and people are not interested particularly, and they're there for the shekel and that's it. And I'm kind of like that, if someone is rude, like I'm just like that, get a job you like.
Yeah,
this is not for you.
Agree.
Because it's like it's so easy to be kind and to be, and to have just
fun.
a little bit, it's simple,
bring
right?
Fun. It's a simple word, isn't it?
It is, and it's, and that's kind of why I've been lucky to do what I do. And, now I recognize it. I didn't recognize it then, but I can go into a room or a festival and turn it round in 6 or 7 minutes. Hopefully, touch wood. I know not allowed to bang this. I've been told not to bang this, or Dodge is going to bang me. That's fucking good. Touch wood. But it's never failed yet. Yeah. So, but I'm not.
You've got a gift.
This is not an arrogance. This is not an arrogance. I recognise that after 25 years, that's what I'm there to do. To try and create. To break down people's walls. Yeah. To be like, fucking just relax.
For a living, both of us put smiles on people's faces.
Yeah, man.
What a lovely vibe that is to be able to do.
Really blessed, man.
You're very gifted, man.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say.
But you're talking about all the different things you can do. Where you're on the drums, you're on the mic, you're behind the bar, you're DJing, you're promoting, you've got like this wonderful gift. It's not just one. There's about 8 or 10 there.
What a lovely thing to say. Well, but I guess I've had a chance to work at it. And I've had a chance to work at it, and it's like, some people, you maybe get given just some natural gifts.
Yeah.
But because I've been doing it so long, I've been able to work on certain stuff, and, I sing and MC. And so being able to make music and still be booked to go and entertain internationally.
25 years later.
Yeah, I'm really lucky, man. Because
tell me your journey then. So when did Willie Cuban really kick off? Like to go, right, tell me some of the places, some of the countries you've been to around the world. On the back of being the Cuban Brothers.
Yeah. So, we first started, we had the first residency we had was in the Matzo in Amsterdam, and then one in Ibiza.
And you took residency in the Dam. Is that in the wintertime or summertime?
That was...
all year round?
Yeah, that was like a monthly residency.
Was it?
Yeah.
And then in Ibiza?
And in Ibiza, we were doing, again, something similar. We were doing, not every... we're doing sort of a monthly performance with them. And
Whereabouts?
we first of all, we were at Eden.
Yep.
And worked with a guy called Chris. What's Chris's last name? Oh my God. He put us on there and at Eden. And we were sort of doing, it was Judge Jules, Danny Minogue, and us, and we had the thing. That was the lineup.
Brilliant.
Lineup, and that was in 99, 2000.
Yeah.
Chris Smith. It'll come to me in a minute, but wicked guy. He's still a promoter. And so we had that. That was the lineup. Judge Jules, Danny Minogue had stepped out of her pop stroke shoes and was starting to throw down. No, she was performing. She wasn't DJing, she was performing.
Okay.
And us in the other room. And then from that, we got a residency with Manumission. And then we had a residency down in London at the Talk of London, which is now Talk of London's still there in Covent Garden. And they had the stage, it was in the round that used to spin round.
Yeah.
Beautiful old venue. And the other one we had was the Embassy Rooms. And the Embassy Rooms are beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful club.
Music hall venue. It's now Spearmint Rhino, sadly.
Yeah. Embassy, God, that brings back memories.
It had the pink flock wallpaper. And it had in the ladies' room, it had the full, the gilded mirrors, and it had a full makeup room, which was, like 20 meters long. Yeah. Beautiful venue. Yeah. Our first show there was supporting Sugar Hill Gang on their 25-year tour. Yeah, that was our first big show in London, supporting Sugar Hill Gang, and I remember there being, maybe 4, 5, 6 months into the Cuban Brothers, and I was supporting myself as Barry Peters, another character to do Barry Peters from Halifax Hospital Radio. Don't be nasty, shows you pasty. Don't be shy, shows you pie. Don't be sad, have a laugh. Don't be crap, shows you rap. Don't be an arsehole, shows you parcel. Just kidding. I'm only joking. I don't do it myself. I know you're young and you get into it. Don't do it. Barry Peters here, the Skipton School of Dancing, of course, the manager in charge at records. And here we are today. None of your shit, only your proper songs. And so there's this DJ that this DJ used to do from Bradford, from Skipton, at Halifax Hospital Radio. And so I used to do that for 50 minutes. And he was just basically a really, really substandard DJ. I only play sevens, and I'd get so I'm trying to scratch. It's all very, very poor stuff. But, it's basically a mobile DJ who's trying to, there's a pattern emerging here, isn't it? That these characters I play are sort of middle-aged cats who are trying to make themselves, relevant, And so that was what Barry Peters was. So I used to do Barry Peters, playing alt record. I used to, try and do dance routines to, Survivor, Eye of the Tiger, and all this kind of shit. Very fair, meant I had the full mull and the wrong tash and the, not dissimilar to these boogers here, you know what I mean? How are we doing? That's right, here we are tonight. It's Barry Peters. We're going to have some proper songs for you here. Look at this lass here. Come here. I'll tell you what, if she was my daughter, I'd still be bathing her. Just kidding. I'd be changing her nappies. Whoa! No, you never. Just kidding, love. I've always loved you. Suck mine. Hello. This kind of shit. Very, very poor. Barry Peters here. Halifax Hospital Radio. Don't be nasty, shows you pasty. So that was the carry on. And so, but I remember getting back to that. I do that, and then I go and it was stage makeup. I would, it's probably looked down upon now, and I don't do it, but I would darken up. It's stage makeup, just normal stage makeup, and I would put I'd have a proper tash, a beautiful tash. I had 5 or 6 beautiful tashes, and glue it on with mastics and glue on the sideburns and get my wig set in place. And then I did the Cubans, and I remember going, wow, this is extraordinary that these guys have had a 25-year career, and really hadn't done any other records than that first album, Sugar Hill, and they've had this great career. And of course they were heroes of mine. Everyone knows, the hippie. Everybody, anybody who takes even a passing interest in sort of black or hip hop music knows that tune and those rhymes. And so to meet them, Big Bang Hank and Wonder Mike and all that, it was amazing. And then I looked, and so it was only like thinking about it. I saw the pictures were sent to me the other day of me and the guys and all that, and me as a sort of very slim, kind of look a little bit ill in the pictures, actually. I wasn't shy of a kick of the ball, shall we say? You know what I mean? Back in those days, I'm still not, but I was particularly up for the fun and action. So the pictures I'm taking, and then 25 years I've just celebrated with the Cubans, and I've had, of course, never had the great success record-wise, but I've had, decent records which have done well on the other side of the pond in America and Australia.
Making your own tracks?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, we had Yo Bonita did really well. The first album did really well all over. Yeah, Canada, North America, Australia. We did some numbers. I won't. I'm not going to wank on about it, but it did really well, and so that was great. And other singles,
but people won't know about this.
No, probably not.
This is quality.
Yeah, well, I think to be honest, that record stands up against any other Yo Bonita, the Cuban Brothers, Yo Bonita. Yeah, it stands up against any record.
Josh, you have a grab a Yo Bonita up.
And
we'll have a listen.
But I think it got some joy. We got some play on Six Music and everything when it came out, and various other Chuck D.
So what would you do then? What would you do for sort of like Sugar Hill? What would Cuban Brothers do?
Yep. We would just go and be with support. So I would go and do a show.
So you would get up on stage and do your show to make people laugh and dance and break dance and
we do our numbers. So I would I had we would do a show. So I would maybe play in that capacity. We do a 45, so it would probably be about 7 tracks, a couple of b-boy routines. Yeah. And that's the Cubans, but it would be numbers. We were doing our songs and a couple of sort of remixes, which is rearrangements of other stuff, that was the first big show in London. So we had these things, and then obviously at the same time I got invited on the Gumball,
the Gumball rally.
Yeah, on the Gumball, and to come and host it.
What year are we talking here? Early 2000s?
Yes. Yeah, we're talking about 2001.
Yeah.
And so it's celebrating 25 years, so I maybe missed the first one.
Have you done it every year, have you?
Not every single year.
You've done a lot.
I've done about 10.
Yeah.
We did the great ones. We did the one Max Cooper and had got me involved. And
Max is the owner of Gumball.
Yeah. Good wicked guy. Great guy. I tell you what.
Good for a podcast.
Wonderful for a podcast. Yeah. Yeah, no, he's a guy. He's a good guy. Very massive nuts. Yeah. He put his nuts on the line and pulled it off. He's now married to Eve, the rapper Eve, and he's got a fairly extraordinary lifestyle, a very successful business. I mean, again, celebrating 25 years this year.
Brilliant.
And we were going from the pyramids and finishing off at the F1 in Singapore. But obviously, what's been going on in the Middle East, I think they're going to start at still in somewhere else at the far end of Philippines, I think, in Southeast Asia, and go Philippines and up the route into Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, and then come back down to Singapore with these 120 cars.
So just for the listener out there, just explain what Gumball Rally is.
Gumball is a rally, a car rally.
With the most beautiful cars on the planet.
Yeah, it's about 120, 130 of the world's hottest cars. It goes 3,000 miles in the space of 7 days. Now, back in the day, it was a wee bit more like the wacky races, which is when I preferred it. It wasn't so much boys and their toys. There's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't really appeal to my sensibilities. I drive a vintage, an old Jag. I've got a couple of old Jags. They're not worth particularly much, but they suit me, and I love the look of them. I won't have a contemporary car. I only like old motors. So, and at that point, when I didn't even drive at that point when I first went on the Gumball, but I love the wacky races. There was people doing it in Beetles, sort of old posh lads. I just feel the Beetle. I'm reading the Beetle. I'm going to do the whole 3,000 miles in the Beetle. I don't give a fuck. Watch this. You've got these guys, and you've got, little scousers in the Cortina. Yeah, all right there, lads. Fuck, I've got this fucking Cortina, 84. Yes, me dad's, fucking straight in, Come on, lads. Yeah. get if you're gonna rap it, make sure it's number 84, mate. 84, yeah. Watch this, just looking off the head. And so many extraordinary characters, and that was really why I love the Gumball, because you had so many extraordinary characters. Some people, it's their sort of life's dream to do something like this, in this environment where it's kind of like for people who don't work in the industry at all, they're getting a chance to live a little bit of a rock star kind of existence for a week. And that appeals to, I think, some people who are wealthy and have that kind of thing. That appeals to their sensibilities. So
just let you know, how much are people paying to go into the Gumball Rally? To bring their car, to get it flown over to where you're starting, and then doing your 3,000 miles, stopping off at really nice hotels and partying every night.
So back then, I believe it was something, it might have been something, maybe like 25K. I think, something like that. And I think now it's probably, closer to 50 or 60K.
Plus all your bits and pieces on top.
Yeah, maybe more.
A ton.
Maybe more. Maybe more. I wouldn't like to say. But I think, it's probably more, maybe a little bit more than 60K. Which, if you've got the money, or if it's your dream, if you're into cars, if you're that type of person, then it's an extraordinary week. I
couldn't think of anything worse.
Oh, mate,
like getting on it and driving the next day. I find it bad enough. I want to be on the sofa getting a curry takeaway and watching the football if I'm hungover.
Brutal.
But I can't sit there in 7 hours.
Do you know what? This is
not my bag.
No, do you know what I mean? It's that's the thing. You've got to be either really into your cars or really into the mad adventure of it, because it does push you. You can be driving 12, 13 hours a day, 14 hours sometime. And it's supposed to be a party. And then you're up and in the cars for 8 a.m., 7:30. It's like, so what happened was,
I got invited to one.
Did you?
I got invited to one. They said, come and drive. I said, I ain't into drive. I can't be bothered with that. Me and my pal Pricey, we just flew out to Barcelona, partied with them. One of the lads was absolutely caked, a Russian lad. He opened up a nightclub on a Sunday afternoon. Spoke to the owner, just open it up for me. Just for my 20 people, 30 people. Madness.
Oh, it's madness.
2 days, that'll do me, fly me back.
Yeah, it's madness. It's madness.
I've got a taste of it.
I mean, but really fun. And initially, I hosted it, and me and Burt Reynolds. I mean, this is extraordinary. Me and Burt Reynolds are the narrators on the Gumball movie. Yeah, Gumball 3000, the movie, and so I got to hang out with Burt Reynolds.
Wow.
Extraordinary, one of my heroes. Yeah. And so we sort of narrate. I'm a co-narrator. He's the main. It's Reynolds, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Levels. Yeah. Smokey and the Bandit. I mean, Jesus Christ. So that was the first one, and we sort of on the Gumball the movie, which featured us, Cuban Brothers, and Jackass, and what's his name? The great, my very close friend, who I've got an extraordinary story about him actually. The great Knight Rider.
Oh, mate.
Oh, my God. David Hasselhoff. Jesus Christ, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's do that one again. My very close friend, the wonderful Knight Rider and Baywatch impresario, David Hasselhoff. Hasselhoff just...
good guy?
Great guy, great guy. Yeah, really fun. Fun and, don't hassle the Hoff, 6'6", don't hassle the Hoff. But he's the kind of guy. He does all the pictures for everyone, but literally like that, bang, and then pushes them away. Yeah, like that. Yeah, get it, bang, get the fuck. Yeah, okay, off you fuck. Okay, yeah. Okay, come on, get the kids in here. Get the kids in here. Okay, bam, fuck off. Really, that's his game. Okay, don't hassle the Hoff. Get fucked. He's a nice guy. I joke. He is a consummate professional and really nice. And I got to spend, I was in the original kit car with him. I drove with him one of the legs in the original kit car that his godson had it rebuilt. Yeah. And a young lad of German, Austrian descent. And it was the original kit car that they...
I still love Knight Rider.
Oh, my God. Levels, isn't it?
Levels.
And so I got to... Me and Dave in the car, for probably about 800 miles. And, it's
How
small.
cool is that?
It's all,
How cool is that?
I was pinching myself.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm pinching myself. This is what? Michael Knight and Michael Keat.
Yeah.
You're having a laugh, ain't ya? You're having a bubble. Look at this guy's here. Fucking Hasselhoff, innit? All right. Yeah. Fuck off. No, he was all right. Excuse the language. No, he was lovely. We got on really well, actually. And, we both like a drink.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
We both like a bevy. And so I've got, look, one of the, probably my look, we did a lot of extraordinary things. I got probably with the finest or certainly most debauched Gumball moment. It was debauched. We went to, it was the 2008 Olympics. So this is the one that was in China, Shanghai. Olympics, is it? I believe it must have been. Yeah, and we started, so it's Los Angeles to, not Shanghai, Beijing. Sorry. If there's going to be an edit, I'll start it again. So probably the most debauched and sort of extraordinary Gumball experience. I mean, it stands up now as probably one of the most kind of outrageous journeys and sort of adventures ever. It was Gumball 2008, and we started off in Los Angeles and finishing at the Shanghai. I've said it again. Beijing, that's it.
Fucking Beijing.
Beijing Olympics. Hello. Michael, you okay? Beijing Olympics. That's where we were. So it was Los Angeles to Beijing. So we took the cars. We started off in Los Angeles and we all went to. So on this one is all the Jackass crew. So Johnny Knoxville, Bam, and it was a whole crew there. Wee Man, everyone's there.
Yeah.
And who else is on this? Exhibit. Exhibit was on this one, and obviously Big Davey Hasselhoff. So we take the cars and we started off in Los Angeles. It was kind of like, this is maybe the most mental 48 hours. We get down to Vegas. So we're in Vegas and we had a show in the Hard Rock, a Gumball party. So go up, I hit the tables, I lost some money, and then I won some money. Yeah, and so I'm $24,000 up. I've never won this kind of money before. And so I'm delighted, but I know I've got a little bit of, very short time. So I'm upstairs, champagne, whatever kind of other nefarious activities, and then back down to do the show. There's, these ladies that are down there who are clearly up for the fun and action, and there's gear off. They've got their gear off at the show. I'm like that. Jesus Christ. Anyway, we do the show. We have some dinner at Nobu, and then we're back on the tables. And this is the party of all, we're in the club. I'm back at the table. I lose that 25 grand. It's gone. I'm with Ryan Dunn, another one of my friends who's gone, Jackass guy. The kindest and most warm of the Jackass crew. Lovely, lovely guy. And sadly, he died in a car crash probably about a decade ago. Me and him, and he's like that. You got to quit, man. You're up. You got $30,000. You're gonna fuck this up. And obviously we're bang. I put 15 on red. 21. It came in. It's the most money I've ever won in a casino ever. I'm 100 grand up.
Jeez.
So we're partying. We go to everyone's partying. We're just like that. Woohoo! We're down in Crazy Horse 2, and Crazy Horse 2 is a strip club.
Yeah.
It was late doors now. We're sort of 4:30 a.m. And Nick Rizzo is the owner, and he's in a lemon cashmere V-neck. Yeah. Hey, what's happening? Let's get it. Come on, guys. Come in here. Gonna bring you in the office. Come on, and he's a good fella.
Yeah,
he's a wise guy.
Yeah.
And he is the nephew of Capone, of Al Capone. He's the nephew, and I'm like that. Okay, and he's like that. Come on, you'll come. And this thing introduced me as, this is Mike from the Cubans, and he's performing on this thing. Okay, Mike, is it okay? Come and sit down here. We're gonna sort you out. And he sits me in this barber's chair. This is my uncle's barber's chair. You heard of Al Capone? I'm like that. Of course, this is Al Capone's barber's chair. He sits me in the says, do you want to shave? And I'm like that. What? Right? So at the time, I'm sporting just a tash, right? Because I'm filming every day. So I'm darkening the tash up a wee bit. You can see I haven't got the, I've got a little bit more of a Nordic, a bit of a Nordic tinge. And so, you want me to give you, you want a little shave in Al Capone's barber's chair? I'm like that. Okay. Yeah. Fuck yeah. So now he gets it. He tells me up, and cutthroat razor, not a thing, me just soap and water. Yeah. And he sold me a full cutthroat razor, sharp as the Flanagan's, leans me back, and he just starts, we're just chatting away. So you guys having a nice time, where you going from here? I met Max before, I met these guys before. And he shaves me in Al Capone's barber's chair in the thing. It's all on camera, they shot the whole thing. A little nick on the neck, and he cleans up the claret for me. Bring a couple of girls in here. And so he's got the drinks out, and so we're there until 6 a.m. We've got to fly from the private air at we fly at 8:20, 8:35, or something like this. So we've got to go back to the hotel, get our gear, and so we're staying in a Hard Rock, go back and get to this airfield where we're flying to northern China and then on to Pyongyang in North Korea, right? And so this is 6 a.m. It's a 2-hour turnaround. And now I've been up, literally been up for, I don't know, close to 40 hours. It's been a celebration. It's just crazy. I've won all this money. We've met, so I get in, I try to go to bed. Kenny literally rolls me out the other side. Yeah. And I can't walk and everything. I've cash everywhere, hits me in the back. He's got me in a wheelchair. And so he's wheelchairing me down right through the thing, right? And it's extraordinary. We're flying on what was originally in the 80s, it was the Stones, the Stones sort of plane. It was their plane that they used. It's the only 50-seater first class and I don't know if it's I can't remember the I've seen it. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. This is the one. So all the cars are getting taken by Russian thingies, and we're all going in here. So we're all getting trying, and so we're just getting our passports checked as we're getting on the plane. We don't have to check in or anything like that. It's amazing. Just completely off tights, and we get on and they're giving us these, what kind of cocktail do we want? Do we want a Long Island? As we're getting on, so we're all on the plane. The Jackass boys, you've got Wee Man is hiding up here and kept jumping out at people. Surprise, bitches! Right? They're all that people are lying back, and they're all giving each other dirty Sanchez's. Yeah. I said, if anyone tries to fucking dirty Sanchez me, I'm not joking. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, I'm going to lose it.
I'll break your fucking arms. Yeah. Right, that's it. There's no danger. If any of your ass, any of your sphincter goes near my face, I'm not you. Yeah? You guys are that. That's not my shit. Fucking step off. But they were all doing it to each other. And it was so wrong that you could smell these gentlemen's arses from that. I'm like, by that time, I don't want anything to do with Jackass. I'm like, you guys are dickheads. So and you can hear, and everyone just keeps getting Sanchez. I'm like that. This is not funny. This is wrong. Even talking about it now, I'm like that. All right. Anyway, I crack on with this guy, Mike Malbon. And some people know him as the King of New York. He's a guy who used to put out this Frank magazine. Wicked guy, hip hop guy, entrepreneur. Him and his brother, I think his brother Stephen Malbon. He's got Steve Malbon Golf. They were into publishing and into everything to do with culture and music and coolness and the Big Apple from the late 90s through till now. So me and Mike are cracking on. Yeah, and he's like that, you're a fucking animal. And I'm like that. I'm just like, people are passing out all over the place. We still have superpowers in our pockets. I don't want to talk out of line. We got superpowers in our pockets. And obviously we're on a private thing. And so we're the only cats who, this is a long flight, to northern China. This is like 13 hours plus. We didn't go to bed. We had a brilliant time. I don't remember much about it, but I just know it was good. We got there, we're straight. They're rushing us onto this other flight to fly into North Korea. We're getting to go to Pyongyang so we're straight on this plane in North Korea to go to the Mass Games, which is the Mass Games is their version of the Olympics, but it's for culture. Yeah. So it's all the dance. So instead of having an LED screen, they have 140,000 people turning over a card at the same time that gives it that effect. This is incredible. Yeah. We've not slept. And it's just like, so I'm going to North Korea with these fucking dickheads. Are you sure this is happening again? I just said that. I sat there with Knoxville, Max, Mike Malbon, Dave Hasselhoff. Someone's trying to dirty Sanchez him. I'm like that. Don't fucking Sanchez the Hoff. No, don't Sanchez the Hoff. Yeah. So we're there, and then we land in Pyongyang. These cats come on. Very officious looking, the mind police, whatever you want to call them. They take our phones, our cameras, and our passports. We don't have them. So this is like saying, while you're here, you better behave. Okay. Kenny kept his. Kenny the bastard, my DJ and dancer and all-round sound guy. He kept his camera, and so he managed his video camera. And so we went there. I'm kind of nodding out now. We were taking straight to the Mass Games. We were going to the hotel afterwards, and Kenny's captured all this. It was extraordinary, a visual feast, a visual treat, but just unusual. Yeah, it's kind of an eeriness, as in it's a celebration, but you can sense that there is, you can sense that there's a
underbelly.
And a pressure to give off this massive facade.
Front.
But there's a darkness, know. Most of there's people being launched, 400 foot in the air, launched and caught. It's the most extraordinary feats of acrobatism, whatever you want to call it. It's amazing. We're melted, and so we get back to the hotel. And there's a welcoming committee. It was Kim Jong Un at the time. So it's Kim Jong Il now. Yeah. Kim Jong Un. So his father, he had his cultural attaché there who welcomed us. And he wasn't there himself. It would have been extraordinary if he was. And we did a performance for him. 20-minute, 4 numbers, right? In the hotel, live in the hotel, full production. The only Western act ever to play. The only Western band ever to play, apart from Paul McCartney, in Pyongyang. So that was at the point at that time. It was a claim to fame. Yeah. Paul McCartney's done a show here.
Now
we've done a show here. Yeah. There you go. Watch this. So we did a show there. The guys looked fairly confused.
Fucking for these lot.
What the fuck is this? What is this? The guy has of course the pants. I don't like it. He's doing something with the what's wrong with his cock? This guy is not well. So they're perplexed. Yeah. Well, everyone else who hasn't slept or is just like that, just sort of like that, yeah, Guano, just full retardation. Never go full retard in Pyongyang. And we did, and then Bam and all that are trying to go out and we're trying to skate. They're going to try and skate Pyongyang. And so we get outside.
Try to what? Escape?
No, skate.
Okay,
skate. Yeah, skate. That's my accent. They're trying to skate Pyongyang, right? Bam Margera and all the lads are straight out and they want to fucking skate Pyongyang. So we get out there. I've got a longboard, right? One of theirs, I'm not particularly a skater. I can skate. And so we're all out, and then the police are straight on us. Like they're like that, no. You can't leave the hotel. You can't leave the foyer area and the parking spot, or you can't go. And we're like that. Fuck off. Are you sure? And so we were out, but not more police came. So there's about 20 cats, and we're ushered back into the hotel, and we're into the reception area. And then we see there is a karaoke bar, and that's the only thing of the entertainment, and it's in the basement of the hotel. So we're like that. Look, we haven't got any, we're under orders, and I don't want to get lifted, not in North Korea.
Way.
I've been lifted already. I've been lifted 4 or 5 times on Gumball. That's another story. I got lifted in the Big Easy in New Orleans I was up the longest dancing pole in the world, Larry Flint's strip club. And I went up, it was me and Ryan Dunn. We were both naked, and they got the thing. And I got pistol whipped down.
Did you?
Let's have a look. So I've still got the scar here. Another one. You better come down now, sir. Can you please? And be like that. Are you sure? They came straight up and they got me down. Yeah, they got me down anyway.
And nicked.
And so that one cost $30,000 to get out. So we got out. Wait there. Sorry. So that happened. But then, and this one, I didn't want to get nicked. Excuse me. I didn't want to get nicked in North Korea.
No.
Yeah. Don't get nicked in North Korea. So I didn't want to get nicked there. And so we played the game. We went downstairs, and it's a karaoke bar. Now, obviously, they had some Western music, a lot of the standards, a lot of the classics. I've managed to persuade David Hasselhoff to sing the Baywatch theme, unaccompanied. Obviously, they don't have the Baywatch theme on their karaoke. It's now, we went right through. So we're 5 a.m, pissed as wizards, everyone. We're having a good time. It's like, it's such an unusual environment and a situation. So you make the most of it,
right?
Make
your own fun, yeah, of course.
Yeah. And so, obviously, I've done, oh, the shark has such pretty teeth, dear, and it shows them pearly white. I did a bit, they've got Mac the Knife and all that. So I've done a few of these old standards and everything, and then, and a bit of, you're the voice trying to understand me. Yeah, but full mania. They had the voice. So look, that's my bag, but I've managed to get Dave, who's really outrageously drunk, inebriated by this time, to sing the Baywatch theme, and unaccompanied. And he did it. He did the whole thing. And it's just in this scene in a karaoke bar in North Korea, in Pyongyang, Jackass, and he's giving it, some people scared to walk into the light. Yeah, full mania. I'm like that again, pinching myself, like crying with laughter. I'll be ready, right? Really, he really went for it, right? And everyone's just like that, there's not even any music. Just fascinating, extraordinary celebration. I'm just throwing myself at people and cuddling them. I can't believe he's actually doing this, This is amazing. So I'm like that, oh man, you're a mensch, this is extraordinary. Thank you. And you want to fuck me. And I'm like that. Okay. 10 minutes later, we walk into the toilet, right? And he's at the urinal, right? Big David Hasselhoff, all 6'6" of him, is at the urinal, and his head against the back, not of the urinal, but of the wall, right? And he's sort of leaning in the thing, and he's kind of like this on the full stagger. And I'm just like that, like kind of laughing at him. And then I noticed, right, a dark map spreading over his jeans, a dark map spreading, over the thigh of his jeans. And I'm just like that, yo, David. Right? And I've noticed, instead of holding his penis, he's actually holding one of his balls. Yeah, one of his testicles.
While he's pissing in his pants.
I could not believe what was happening. And I'm just like that, yo, Dave. And he's like that, what are you doing, you fag? Yeah, you're trying to see my cock. And I'm like that, yo, man. And he's like, yeah, fucking, jokingly, but also being serious. I'm like that, yo. This is what's done me the most. At the end, he's just tapped his bollock off. He's offered up. He's just tapped. He's just like that. Looking at. What are you talking about? Tapped his bollock off and just, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm crying with laughter and trying to tell him, and he's not interested. And he's just pushed past me, literally like that, pushed past me, kind of still in a jocular fashion, as he's just completely melted his own jeans with his own urine. And I've just been like that. It was kind of like, I couldn't believe what had happened.
Yeah.
In the space of sort of 3 hours, I just watched, one of the most heroic gentlemen of 80s, 90s television sing the Baywatch
in North Korea
theme tune, unaccompanied, and followed to tap his own bollock off.
Oh, mate, that is genius.
David, if you ever get to see this, please don't hate me. This is we're all friends, and it was one of the best moments of my life, and I'll thank you forever for it, my man. Don't hassle the half.
Don't hassle the half.
Off you fuck. I love you, baby. So Gumball. It's Gumball. There's so many stories from Gumball. Really, it's definitely one of the best events. The amount of people and friends that I've been able to make from it, and sort of the extraordinary people I performed with. Like last time we were there in Nashville, I'm doing a show. It's me and we're doing a show at the American Black Music, in Nashville, American Hall of Fame, and it's the American Museum of Black Music. The year before, we're in Nashville. And we did a great, we started off in Toronto, and we did a wee performance in that with Drake, who I'm not a particular fan of, but it'd be great to be on the same bill as him, in his hometown. And so we drove down through Detroit and then right through to Nashville. And we're doing a show with Cee Lo Green. So Cee Lo's now, and it's his birthday. So it's us and Cee Lo at the Museum of Black Music in Nashville. Now, Cee Lo, I've been a fan of since Goody Mob days, before he'd been a solo artist. Goody Mob, a brilliant hip hop outfit, Southern hip hop outfit, and part of that Outcast crew, that sort of came through. It came through in the early 90s. And so to be able to share the stage with him was fantastic. And he's a really sweet guy, really lovely. And I had to... So firstly, we're doing our show, and then we're going to bring him out, and I've got to give him his birthday cake. And, Max is saying, you're going to do this cake, but we thought it would be really funny, Mike, right? Really funny. If you can bring out the cake, right? And you're going to give it to him on stage as well, all there. But you're going to trip, and it's going to fall and go all over the floor, right? Into the thing, you fucked it, you made an arse of it. And then, of course, we're going to bring out another cake. So you've made an arse of it, right? But we've got another cake we're going to bring out. We're celebrating his birthday. So he's doing, all these classics, did Crazy. I'm in doing BVs for that, and da-da-da. And then, during... I've been riding around town, fuck you. Yeah. And during that, he's brought me out. I'm dancing with him and then doing a bit of b-boying and everything. It's a brilliant night. It's just crazy. And then I'm like that going, man, I feel a bit of a dick having to do this to Cee Lo Green, But of course, there's a payoff. There's another cake there. Yeah. But Andre 3000's there, and Dallas Austin's there, and they're on stage and everything. And I'm like that, I'm in my element. These are some of my heroes. So I'm in my element, but I had to do it. And so I've come on with this to the thing, and we got something special for you. You know what I mean? Cee Lo, it's a special moment. I want to say happy birthday. Feliz cumpleaños, everyone. And I bring it up to him, and then I go over and spill it, and you could just see Andre 3000's face and all that, and they're like that, like they're gonna fucking kill me. Yeah. So first of all, it's like that, just like that, it's like the next level stink eye, and I'm like that. Just kidding. Get the other cake on. Get the other cake on quick. They brought the other cake on. It was fine. But those moments where I'm a professional dickhead, so I'm going to be the foil sometimes. Yeah. In fact, I'm often the foil because the joke's on us. Yeah. That's what I mean. I think that's maybe part of the reason we've been reasonably successful is because it's not punching down. So, but that happened, and thank Christ the other cake. But in that sort of 10, 15 seconds.
It must have felt like ages, right?
It did. It felt like, I was very close to getting knee in the nuts. You know what I mean? You imagine Andre 3000 just like that, knee in the nuts, or just playing the flute so loudly in my ear that I just fucking, blood came out the other side or something. God bless him, one of the greatest MCs of all time, point blank period. And Cee Lo as well, as an MC and a singer, it doesn't get much better. So what a blessing. So Gumball it's debauched. It's an adventure. It's always fun. It's always there's nice people as well. There's wealthy people who really don't so much have a care in the world. So and then there's people who this has been their dream.
They've saved up for it to agree.
To do something
extraordinary.
Yeah,
agree. Totally agree.
And so that kind of, that kind of energy when, a father and son who are both into cars, and the old man's been into cars since he was a teenager.
Bonding for 7 days.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's his laddie's 21st birthday. Yeah. And they're on this trip together, 7 days in a hot car. Sharing. This is the kind of shit that, if you get a chance, to have these experiences, you're going to take them, aren't you? That's for you. That's with you forever.
You are a super, super human being.
Oh, look,
with a real kind heart.
What a lovely compliment to give. Thank you.
You are, man. And you know what? Like, you've got so much. You've got so many strings to your bow. Such a creative mind as well, and a happy, fun go. And what I'm loving about this is you do not give a shit.
I try not to.
In a nice way. And there's not many people like you on the planet these days.
Well, I tell you, it's a lovely compliment, and thank you. And but it's that thing of what I have come to realize, and I guess when you get to a certain point, is that it's later than you think.
Yeah, agree.
It's later than you think, and so now growing up, there was that thing where I definitely threw all caution to the wind, and was a bit loose.
Yeah.
But now, as a dad and all that kind of stuff, I still want to throw caution to the wind, but I have to be a bit calmer.
Yeah. But that's what we do when we get older,
isn't it?
We're different in our 20s to our 30s to our 40s, isn't
100%, 100%. And I'm glad, because that's the, like I think you can't go 150 miles an hour all the time, and that's what I mean. Like, I've lost friends who thought they were invincible.
Same here.
And you know what? At some point, I would have thought they were invincible. Yeah. I would have been. I'm like that. Bruv.
Yeah.
We're good. There's no problem here.
Of course.
But no.
Things change very quickly.
Things change very quickly, man.
I don't want to talk about that, but I've got 3 pals who have committed the same as it's like, mate, where has that come from? But let's leave that
for sure.
But that's something that we need to be speaking about.
100%, definitely. And mental health generally is getting a good kick of the ball in the media, and people are able to talk about it. Yeah. Men's mental health as well. It needs to be, because as you just highlighted, man,
fellas don't speak up.
They don't, and I think it's getting better. I had to reach out. I had to be honest. I mean, even just before Christmas, what's been going on in the Middle East, we're not going to go into it here. I want to park it. Yeah. But it really affected me, and I had to go and speak to someone. I had to get some psychological support, and I'm not afraid to say it because it really, because it really.
There is an amazing website out there, by the way.
Is there?
Called Jack.
Right.
JustAskAquestion.org. JAAQ.org.
Right.
Unbelievable. So normally if you're going to do something crazy, if someone's going to commit suicide, or someone hates their boss, or someone's depressed, you go on Google and loads of pieces of black and white come up. You'll get confused. Jack, it's like a masterclass where people have been filmed and telling you about, you type in how you're feeling and someone's talking back to you in a film.
How incredible.
It's incredible.
That's amazing.
It's incredible. So anyone listening out there who is struggling, go and check out jack.org.
100%. That's amazing.
It's amazing.
That's brilliant. Yeah. That's brilliant.
Mike,
man.
Where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram, the Cuban Brothers, or my personal one is Miguelito Cubano. So that's Miguel Ito Cubano. I used to have I've still got a page, Mike Keat's Yes Friends, which is I haven't posted on it for ages, but yeah, it's the Cuban Brothers or Miguelito Cubano, and then I have we have a YouTube channel, which is I'd never thought of it before, but it was somebody who came to me and said, "Yo, what are you doing?"
Yeah. Get out there.
Yeah, what are you doing? Like, are you fucking mental? For the kind of stuff that you make and the kind of character stuff you do, you need to have, a YouTube channel. And so, I think I need to get home and sort of give my manager a good seeing to.
Yeah.
Not in a nice way, not in that way either. No. So that's it, man. I mean, usually I'm not, I try and create stuff. I'm trying to make give people a smile, a giggle. This is important, right? Because there's a lot of, we don't even need to talk about it, but as we have highlighted a little bit, there's a lot of dark shit. I'm just trying to bring a little bit of color.
Yeah, mate.
You
because, certainly are.
Oh, thank you, man. Right? It's just it's about that's when you realize, it took me a long time to work out what I'm actually here to do, and it's only been probably the last couple of years.
Has it?
Really, yeah, that I've actually worked out and went like that. There's a reason. There's no mistake that you've been doing this for 25 years internationally. It's not a mistake. I think I never had tickets on myself. I always thought, man, I'm getting away with this. And so I'm getting away with this. I didn't have I didn't recognize that this is no coincidence. Yeah. Bro, you're supposed to be doing this. You've always done it.
Of course.
It's
only when you look back now, you go, right, brought up in pubs, character. All you've done is gone and met people, learnt bits and pieces off everyone. People these days go, oh, you need a mentor. They said, Dod, do you ever get mentored? I've never been mentored in my life, but I know so many people. A bit off him, bit off him, bit of her, bit of her. And you build your own package together, Yeah, and that's what you've done. And you've made a living out of it. Having fun.
Yeah, man.
And putting smiles on people's faces all around the world.
Lucky boy. Luckiest man in the world.
Mike, I've absolutely loved this. You are some character.
Oh, thank you, mate. It's a blessing. It's nice. It's nice to be here, Dodge, and thank you. It's been fun.
Yeah, fun.
I'm glad there were some stories that I could have shared, but that might see me wrong down the line.
Yeah.
Thank you for encouraging me to touch on them, but not go too deep.
Yeah. Next time,
I'll clear it with a wife. I'll clear it with my 3 daughters. Mate, I'm clearly what's the right terminology? I'm clearly
a fatherly figure.
I'm clearly a patriarchal figure in the old school sense, not in the patriarch sense.
Yeah.
I'm that guy. So I've got to be careful. But brother, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Mate, I've loved it. And you're like the epitome of eventful lives.
I bless you, my man. Thank you, man.
You're a gentleman.
Thank you, man.
Good man.
Cheers. Thanks,
Good
Dodge.
Man. Cheers, pal.
Blessings, man.
Nice one. Hi, guys. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Can you do us a favour and subscribe to the channel? It's totally free and it massively helps our show. Cheers, guys.